There comes a moment when you stand at the edge of giving up. But what if I told you? That's when it's actually the closest. You look around and see nothing, no change, no movement. But listen to me. Your outer world is the last to know. It is the shadow of your inner assumption. And that assumption, that silent knowing within you, is already at work. If you felt peace lately, not because you got what you wanted, but because you stopped chasing, that's a sign. That peace isn't apathy, it's alignment. It means you've claimed it in consciousness. If life seems chaotic, if you've been tested more than usual, it's not because things are going wrong. The old must break apart to make room for the new. That shaking, it's a birthing. Stay calm. Don't quit. You've started to notice patterns, numbers, names, places that relate to your desire. You brush them off as coincidence, but they are whispers, echoes of a state already claimed, evidence that you are seen and it is done. Don't quit. You don't feel obsessed anymore, do you? That urge to check, to beg, to force, it's fading. That detachment, it means you entered the wish fulfilled. You live there now, and you didn't even realize it. Don't quit. Your imagination has grown rich. You feel it. You see it. When you close your eyes, you live the life you ask for, and it feels more real than your waking world. That is no dream. That is creation. Don't quit. People around you are acting different. Circumstances shift without your input. Doors crack open without you knocking. Why? Because consciousness moved first, and now the world is catching up. So, when your heart says it's already done, when the world says it's not working, choose your heart. The seed has been planted, the soil is dark, yes, but life is stirring. Hold your ground. Don't quit, because it's already yours. There comes a moment in the journey of desire where something profound and almost unexplainable begins to occur. At first, we are filled with longing. We pray, we visualize, we hope, and sometimes we beg. The desire seems far, as though it lives in a future we must chase. We become anxious, watching every minute detail, hoping to see a change. Every silence feels loud. Every delay feels like a denial. We begin to question. Is it working? Is anyone listening? Am I doing it right? But then, without warning, a shift takes place. Not in the world, but within you. Suddenly, you're no longer desperate. You are no longer checking, analyzing, or worrying. The urgency fades. You aren't begging for a sign or proof, because something deeper has awakened. This peace, this sacred stillness, it is not indifference. It is not surrender to failure. It is alignment. You have stepped into a state where your inner world already feels the desire fulfilled. The imagination has replaced effort. The knowing has silenced the noise. This peace is the most powerful sign that your manifestation is in motion. You begin to walk differently. You speak as though it has already happened, not to convince others, but because you simply believe. There's no need to shout, no need to prove. You no longer need evidence, because the feeling is your evidence, and the feeling is real. It's so real that even when nothing has shifted externally, you feel satisfied internally. That is when creation has occurred. Your consciousness no longer lives in the not yet. You don't crave the future anymore because the future is now alive in you. You start to enjoy the present moment again. You drink your coffee with a calm heart. You go to sleep without rehearsing fears. You wake up with no dread. Why? Because in your mind the result is settled. It is already done. You have assumed the state of the one who has it. This peace is not passive, it is creative. It is the stillness that speaks louder than all your trying. And that is the secret. The universe responds not to words or effort, but to the vibration of being. When you move from wanting to being, from hoping to knowing, everything must respond. The world outside is only a mirror. It cannot help but reflect the peace you now carry. And that is why desperation vanishes. You're no longer grasping because you are no longer lacking. You may still be waiting in the physical sense, but in the realm of consciousness where all things are born, it is finished. You don't need to see it. You feel it. And that feeling is the only true reality. So when you notice this quietness, do not question it. Do not mistake it for giving up. It is not the end of your desire. It is the beginning of its arrival. It is the sign that your inner world has become so aligned with your wish, so deeply rooted in belief, that the need to push has dissolved. In this stillness, creation is complete. Let that peace guide you. It means your manifestation is already yours. When you plant a new belief, a new assumption, or a new state of being in your consciousness, something subtle but powerful begins to unfold. Most expect instant beauty, effortless flow, and immediate results. But instead, what often appears is the opposite: confusion, setbacks, emotional friction, even chaos. This is the point where many give up. They think it means the manifestation isn't working. But the truth is more profound. The turbulence you face is not a sign of failure. It is the echo of the old reality crumbling. You see, the moment you assume a new state, the state where your desire is fulfilled, your inner world has already shifted. But the outer world, being slower and denser, takes time to catch up. The old assumptions, the former beliefs, the outdated energies you once lived in, they don't disappear quietly. They push back, they resist. Not because they're winning, but because they're losing their hold on you. That chaos is not destruction, it is purification. Delays do not mean no. They are often divine pauses, moments where the unseen forces rearrange people, places, and events to match your new inner world. What you call a delay is really a refinement. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Your new state is so true, so dominant within you, that the old one must be stripped away. And that stripping, that shedding, often feels like everything is going wrong, when in fact, everything is being made right. Sometimes the people around you begin to act out. Things break down. You feel emotional waves you thought you'd already released. These are the remnants of your former identity, reaching out one last time, asking if you'll return. Will you go back to fear? Will you agree with lack? Or will you hold firm in your assumption of abundance, love, peace? You must understand this. Emotional triggers and external resistance do not come to stop you. They come to test your stability in the new state. They appear not to defeat you, but to reveal what still needs to be released. It is not evidence of your failure. It is the final resistance of a version of you that no longer belongs here. The old story is being uprooted. It doesn't like to leave quietly. It will scream. It will beg for your attention. It will try to lure you back into doubt. But you must remember, you are not that version anymore. You are the one who lives in the fulfilled end. You are not the one waiting. You are the one being. When the world shakes, be still. When the past rises, bless it and let it go. When things seem delayed, trust deeper. Every crack in your old reality is proof that the new one is emerging. The noise you hear is not a warning. It is the sound of transformation. So do not be discouraged when things fall apart. They are not falling apart, they are falling into place. This is the cost of claiming a higher state. This is the cleansing before the blessing. Stand firm. What feels like resistance is often the final confirmation that your new reality is already on its way. When your inner world shifts, when you begin to truly dwell in the state of your fulfilled desire, the outer world starts to mirror that change in subtle, mysterious ways. These reflections are not always loud or obvious. Instead, they arrive like whispers, gentle signs that something is aligning beneath the surface. You start to see repeating numbers like 111, 222, or 777. A song plays with lyrics that speak directly to your heart. You overhear a stranger say the exact phrase you've been affirming in your mind. These are not coincidences, these are synchronicities. And they are not random. Synchronicities are the footprints of consciousness at work. They are signals from the unseen showing you that your inner assumptions are beginning to crystallize into form. Every time you witness one, you are glimpsing a reflection of your shifted state. Not the state you wish to enter, but the one you are already occupying. The universe does not send confirmation for the unclaimed. It echoes what you are, not what you beg for. So when these unusual signs begin to show up, pay attention. They are not meant to convince you of something outside yourself. They are meant to remind you that what you assume to be true internally is now projecting itself externally. You are in the flow. The bridge of incidents has been activated, and your only task now is to remain faithful to that inner state. You might find yourself thinking about someone and they call you. You write down your desire, and a day later you see an advertisement or message with the exact words you wrote. These moments are not just interesting, they are spiritual confirmations. They are a language beyond logic, a dialogue between you and the infinite. This is not about superstition. This is about resonance. Your imagination, when used with conviction and feeling, impresses itself upon the field of reality. And reality, like a perfect mirror, begins to respond. Not always instantly, but certainly. These synchronicities are like the first leaves of spring. They don't show the full bloom, but they prove that the season has changed. When you begin to live from the end, when you think, feel, and imagine as the person who already has what they desire, you change your vibration, and as you do, the world around you adjusts. It may not bend overnight, but it will whisper to you, yes, you are on the path, keep going. Resist the urge to dismiss these signs as coincidences. They are not. The very fact that you notice them is proof of your awareness expanding. You are no longer living blindly. You are awake to the hidden conversation between the seen and unseen. That awareness is the birthplace of creation. So the next time you see a sign, a repeating number, a name, a symbol, or a moment that seems too perfect to be random, pause, smile. You're not crazy. You're not imagining it. You're witnessing the outer world responding to your new inner reality. Stay in that knowing. Let it strengthen your faith. Because synchronicities are not a tease. They are the fingerprints of your manifestation, already reaching out to meet you. There is a point along the path of conscious creation where the noise falls away. You no longer wake up with a sense of urgency or go to bed with racing thoughts. The constant need to monitor, to check, to force things into place quietly fades. You're no longer trying to convince yourself that it's working, because now you simply know. You've stepped into a space that feels weightless, yet powerful. This state is not filled with emotional highs or obsessive energy. It is quiet, still, clear. This is the essence of true detachment. But don't mistake this detachment for disinterest. You haven't stopped caring about the desire. You've simply released the resistance around it. You're no longer in the state of wanting, you are in the state of having. This inner shift creates a sense of peace that cannot be shaken by appearances. You are no longer measuring time, You are no longer pleading with the unseen. You've entered the full-fed end, and now you rest in that knowing. It is a profound moment when the obsession ends and certainty begins. The desire no longer consumes your thoughts every hour, not because you gave up, but because you feel it is done. You are no longer distracted by how it will come or when it will show up. You've stopped scripting every detail, not because it doesn't matter, but because the outcome feels inevitable. That calm clarity is not laziness, it's mastery. This kind of detachment is magnetic. When you hold the end within your being, not with tension but with ease, life rearranges to reflect it. It must. The world around you is a mirror, and it always bends to the vibration you carry. When you vibrate with obsession, fear, and constant need, the mirror reflects more of that. But when you vibrate with trust, ease, and clear knowing, the mirror reveals a new version of reality, one that matches your inner state of assurance. You see, real faith is not loud. It doesn't require constant affirmations or signs. It doesn't need to be reassured. It simply is. You feel a quiet sense of alignment, as though the path ahead is already laid out, even if you can't see all the steps. You walk with less fear and more presence. You talk less about what you're trying to manifest and more about the life you're already living in your mind and spirit. This clarity makes you powerful. You're not chasing anything. You're not waiting. You're living in a new identity. The version of you who already has what was once only imagined. And in this identity, there's no pressure. There's no striving. There's only alignment. So when you find yourself feeling clear, calm, and no longer obsessed, honor that moment. You've stepped beyond desire and into fulfillment. You've crossed the invisible line where the wish has moved from hope to reality, from longing to being. It is in this detachment that the manifestation ripens. It is in this clarity that the unseen becomes seen. And it is in this stillness that you realize you were never waiting. You already are. There is a beautiful transformation that occurs when you begin to truly live in the end, not through force or repetition, but through natural identification with your desire. At first, imagination might feel like daydreaming, like a gentle hope floating in the background. But something changes when you persist in the inner work. Something sacred begins to awaken. The scenes you create in your mind become richer, deeper, more emotionally charged. You don't just see the outcome, you feel it, live it, breathe it. And soon, what you imagine starts to feel more real than your current life. This is no ordinary fantasy. It's not escapism, it is creation at its purest level. What you call imagination is the true source of reality. The world you now live in was once imagined, consciously or unconsciously. And so when the imagined experience becomes more compelling, more vivid, and more alive than the so-called physical facts around you, it means something vital has shifted. Your consciousness has moved. You no longer feel the need to react to the outer world because your inner world is more satisfying. You may walk through a reality that appears unchanged, but within, you're touching something far greater. You can feel the joy of having what you once longed for. You smile at moments no one else understands because you've seen something they haven't. You've already lived the result, and in doing so, you've summoned it into form. This experience is not just emotional, it's spiritual. You sit with your eyes closed and enter the scene of your wish fulfilled. You don't merely visualize the outcome, you become the one who has it. You walk into a room and feel the presence of what you imagined. You hear voices congratulating you. You smell the space, you touch the fabric. You experience details that have no physical source. And yet they feel absolutely real. More real than the doubts, more real than the delay, more real than anything your five senses are currently reporting. And here is the mystery. When the inner world becomes more dominant than the outer begins to transform. Not by force, not through hustle, but by divine reflection. The world is not fixed. It is a mirror. And when you saturate your consciousness with the feeling, tone, and certainty of your imagined life, the mirror must bend. That's why you must not dismiss these vivid moments as just imagination. They are not pretend. They are previews of what is forming. When your imagined scenes begin to carry weight, when you find yourself emotionally moved, even to tears, by something you've only lived in your mind, that is not delusion. That is evidence. You've created the cause. The effect will follow. So trust the depth of your inner experience. Don't look around for validation. Look within. That feeling of realness you experience in the invisible, that clarity, that emotional charge, it is telling you this is not a wish. This is a becoming. You are not waiting for it to happen. You are remembering it already did. And the more real it feels inside, the faster it must show up outside. Because imagination, when fully believed, is the blueprint of your reality. When you truly shift your inner state, when you no longer merely want your desire but begin to become the one who has it, something remarkable begins to unfold. And it happens often without effort, without action, and without warning. Suddenly, the world around you begins to move. People behave differently. Circumstances shift. What once felt stuck and immovable begins to loosen. Things start to rearrange themselves to accommodate your new assumption. And yet, you did not force any of it. It moved because you did internally. This is one of the most beautiful confirmations that your manifestation is underway. The outer world, which once seemed cold, fixed, and unchanging, begins to bend. Opportunities that once seemed distant or impossible begin to present themselves naturally. A person who had cut you off reappears. A job you didn't apply for suddenly becomes available. A financial breakthrough shows up in a way you never could have scripted. And all of this happens not because you struggled or chased it, but because you aligned your being with the end. Consciousness is always the cause. The outer world is never initiating anything, it only echoes. So when people change, or they apologize, return, or offer something you secretly desired, it's not because they decided to shift, it's because you did. You released the old state of lack, fear, or doubt and stepped into a version of yourself that lives in completion, and the outer world had no choice but to mirror that shift. This movement is often subtle at first. A conversation goes differently than expected. A door that was once shut is now cracked open. You overhear something that confirms your inner work. These are not accidents. They are ripples caused by your assumption becoming dominant. There's something profoundly freeing about this realization, that you don't have to manipulate, fix, or force the world into cooperation. You don't need to argue or prove your worth. When your inner world is clear, the outer world follows. This is not passivity, it is spiritual authority. It is stillness that commands movement. And the movement you witness around you is not random, it's strategic, intelligent, and perfectly timed. Sometimes, what begins to move is what once felt most stubborn. A situation that seemed hopeless suddenly finds a new pathway. A no turns into a yes. A delay becomes divine alignment. You realize in those moments that you were never truly waiting on the world was waiting on you, waiting for you to become certain, to stop doubting, to embody the end result so fully that no resistance could remain. The people, events, and outcomes that begin to shift around you are all messengers of this truth. Your state creates your fate. When you dwell in the end and persist there in imagination and feeling, the bridge of incidents begins to build itself. And you do not need to know how. You only need to remain faithful. So when the unexpected begins to happen, do not be surprised. Smile. You did this not with force, but with focus. Not by chasing, but by choosing to be. Reality is simply catching up with who you've become. And so, as you stand on the edge of your new reality, remember this: what you seek is already seeking you. The signs are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Inner peace, emotional triggers, vivid imagination, synchronicities, and the quiet detachment you feel, all of these are whispers from the unseen, telling you that your desire is not a far-off dream, but a reality unfolding moment by moment. Do not let the delay fool you. Do not let appearances shake you. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are right on time. Stay faithful to the unseen. Walk as if it's already done, because the truth is, it is. Your only job is to remain in the state of the fulfilled desire, no matter what the world around you shows. Everything is moving, everything is changing, everything is coming into alignment. You are not waiting anymore, you are becoming. Thank you for listening, and always remember, your inner world is the key. Guard it, nurture it, and trust it, because it's already yours.